You're listening to the Best Advice Podcast, guys. If you haven't already, give us a 5-star review and help spread the word. And if you have a question for the guys, email a voice recording to podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com. That's podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Security Financial Management. If you're ready to level up your financial game, SFM offers a free initial consultation after each episode. Just send an email to podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com with the subject line complimentary consultation to book yours today.
Ooh, welcome back to Best Advice Podcast, guys. I'm your host, Rob Lovaglio, here as always with Mitchell Walk, Frank Lovaglio, and Dave Allen. Gentlemen, ooh, what's crackalacking?
A whole lot.
A lot.
A big
Bunch of cracking today.
A lot of
Crack-a-lacking, a lot of that today.
Well, let's jump right into it today, guys, with some positive thinking. We like to call this segment, Give Me Something Good. Today's my turn.
Give me something good.
Rob.
Give me something good.
Sexy man.
Her name's Barbara O'Neill, right? She's 93 years old. She's a hot 93, though.
Whoa.
She's like, claims she's 50. She thinks she's figured out the entire secret of staying
Wait,
healthy.
that's an oxymoron. A hot 93.
No, she's a hot 93 girl.
Okay,
She
I'm
looks
with
like
you.
she's about 45.
What's she out in
you know
the
what I mean?
sun?
If you're 97.
So she's actually like going around the world telling people her 3 holistic health secrets that she believes
Okay, the
kept her so
look her
healthy.
so
Yeah.
young.
And
So hot.
so hot, 93 and hot.
93 and hot.
And they were one, every morning she drinks on an empty stomach. She drinks ginger and lime juice,
Ginger?
hot water, ginger, lime juice. We call it kind of a
Hot water,
what do we
ginger,
call it? A
and
ginger
lime
shot
juice.
almost.
It's kind of like a mule
Yeah,
without the bourbon.
supposedly the ginger, it slows down aging, and it is amazing for your immune system. The second one, I don't really know. This one's more about hair. It's like making your own rosemary olive oil or oil and putting it in your hair for like 10
So you
minutes.
look greasy?
Yeah, I don't know. That's more for
No,
girls. It's-
you wash it out.
you wash it out. It's supposed to like make your hair from like old and tough to
It
get
gives
rid
it
of
body and
grays.
protein.
There we go.
That's
It
what
makes
it
it look
does.
Hey,
healthy.
man.
Body and protein.
Let's check Mitch's hair.
So what's to give me something good?
And then the third one is, this one's kind of interesting. The third one is everyone needs to have a moringa. No,
Easy now.
moringa.
Easy.
Moringa.
Everyone needs to have a moringa supplement, right? So moringa is actually a word that means never die. Like never, it used to be called never die, which meant it never dies. Like it needs to be in your system. And it comes from a moringa tree. And it's supposed to be Hollywood's like best kept secret. I guess all the celebrities do this every day.
What's
So
in
that's
the
might give you
tree?
something good.
Okay, what's in the tree?
The tree, it gives antioxidants.
Okay.
The antioxidants from moringa detoxifies our entire bodies naturally.
Yeah.
So, Rob, in other words, ginger, greasy hair, and a moringa.
You got it.
Do you good?
And you're going to be 93.
You can be hot.
You're going to be
Damn
hot.
right.
All right. Good deal.
Ginger or Marianne? That's the question. From Gilligan's
Not
Island
sure.
years.
That's Mitch's answer.
It's olive oil.
Don't
It's
you
not-
remember ginger? That's a different ginger. But do you remember?
Yeah, they
the
went
old
out on
days
a
when-
4-hour
Yeah,
tour.
Remember, there
Never
was
came
Gilligan's Island. Everybody would say, "Do you like ginger? Are you on Team Marianne?"
The lady I would pick is the most beautiful in the world, Marianne.
You were dating yourself.
Yeah, but some of the 93-year-olds that I'm talking about.
Yeah, because they didn't even have black and white TV.
Okay,
All right.
We're
move
good.
along.
Today's question comes from Janet from Fort Myers. Janet, what you got for us?
Okay, guys, Janet says exciting news from the feds this week on lowering interest rates. Why is this time different from the last several hints the feds gave us on lowering interest rates?
Thank you, Janet. Dad, go ahead and take this one over, please.
All right, good. Well, a lot went on last week, guys. There were 2 congressional hearings. Jay Powell weighed in twice. And, everyone likes to have fun and beat up the Fed, right? Let's beat up the Fed about what they're doing. But I was thinking about this over the last couple of weeks, and last week with, again, 2 congressional hearings and a lot of information came in that was actually good for, the tightrope that the U.S. government's been on. But I think they're doing a pretty doggone good job. You think about a couple of years ago as they were raising rates to make sure that things were cooling because inflation got way too hot, right? I mean, it was way too hot. And so the Fed's like, we've got to reduce inflation But, they've been on a tightrope because you probably heard this a little bit. I think we mentioned on one of the shows. There's kind of this Goldilocks effect, right? Everybody remembers Goldilocks Day with the long blonde
The
hair.
one with the wolf.
I'm not sure she had a wolf, but she was a pretty little Goldilocks. And everybody liked her because the Goldilocks moment that we're looking for is rates that are coming down, but yet the biggest tightrope is recession, right? Because if rates come down or they're raising rates too quick, then that makes borrowing more expensive, and then businesses are afraid to expand, and then the consumer doesn't want to buy a house, and all of a sudden, now we're in a recession. So I guess my point is I think they've done a pretty doggone good job. Last week, some new data came out showing that consumer price pressure was reducing, which is a positive thing. And then simultaneously, it looks like the job market might be cooling. So, pressure on prices coming down, and they want jobs to be kind of good, but not too good. Wage pressure is in play. Unemployment peaked just a little bit over 4%. So you've got these underlying factors that are kind of positive, right? So you don't want too good of news because that's bad, but bad news could be bad news. So again, back to the tightrope. I think they've done a really, really good job managing all this stuff.
Didn't feel like it in 22 though, did it?
22 is, that's because rates.
that's why they
were
raised.
Ouch.
Yeah.
What was it? 15 times?
16. They had
16
16
of
raises
them.
in 22.
in 22.
But remember, the
was
interest
painful.
rates, that was the longest in history that the Fed had them at 0, I believe. I think it was the longest ever. It was 0. So rates went from 0% to the Fed's number now is 5.25 to 5.50.
Right.
So that is a massive jump percentage wise.
And what do they want to be at? The target is 2 to 3%.
The target's 2 for inflation, but I don't think they can really get down
It's gonna
about
take
2.
time.
But if they get to 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, I think that's going to be a good number that will settle in on.
Well, many economists have agreed, and some of the central bankers weighed in, and they feel like it's a done deal. Nothing's a done deal till it is, but they're saying September feels like a lock, will be the first decrease. Dave, any idea on what kind of percentage they might not? Nobody knows. What are they talking, a quarter, a half? What do you think?
I think a quarter.
Yeah, about
I think a quarter. And actually, the statistic now,
Just a
it's
little
up to 93%. Yeah, 93% chance of a cut. We were at 50, we were at 60. And then to your point, last week when the data came out.
Right, good data.
And actually, it was 2 months in a row of declining numbers, which is exactly what we want, which is crazy. We want bad things so we can lower the rates, but it's now up to about 93% according to Bureau of Labor Statistics.
I like those odds. Yeah, one lady, I'd have her name here earlier. It doesn't matter. She was a real big fan. Because, I didn't realize, too, Powell runs it, but then there's these central bankers in several different, Chicago has
all
over the
There's
US.
Fed presidents.
Yeah,
we've got Fed presidents in Atlanta, Chicago, New York.
That's right. So
I think there's 9 of them, I think.
And they weighed in. I think 8 of the 9 said this thing's going to go in September. So it feels like there's momentum.
Yeah. Hey, Frank, thinking about a little bit from the past, how would you like to be Powell? That everybody hangs on your word, even the way you say that word. Yeah. He does. Wait a minute. He didn't say that very confidently, or he kind of said maybe
very careful.
Yeah, he has to be such a wordsmith that he can't take. How would you like to know that what you say
every word
impacts
everyone's cussing you out at home?
I wish people listen to my family. Like every word Dad says, let's see if he's is he okay? They're looking, it's
not going to happen. But it's interesting, to your point, Dave, when Powell speaks, I'm watching him speak, and right next to it is the
market.
Dow, the market.
Yeah, the market.
And you can see on some of the things that he's talking about, the market starts to drop. Other things, the market starts to go up. So it's everything he says makes as Dave said, it's the emphasis on the words. If he says, we think that we may reduce rates in September, what does think mean? Does that mean he's thinking that way? Or
what does it may?
Yeah.
What does the word may? Yeah. You guys remember the old days when Greenspan was in that role?
Yeah.
And they would analyze how he crossed the street. If he had his briefcase in one hand, that means he was good, or I forget which one it was, left or right. But if it's in the other hand, it was bad.
It was bad.
And so these futures would look at
what hand
he had his briefcase in.
Wow.
Wouldn't that be fun just to mess with him a little bit?
What if he puts it on his head like an umbrella?
Or has a backpack, or puts a backpack on?
Yeah, it's crazy what happens. So they really have to watch it. But what has happened and what the concern is, to talk about Frank saying about recession, what everybody was afraid of is the Fed has been known over years and years and years to wait too long to raise the rates, but then to wait too long to cut the rates.
Right.
And that's what throws us into this recession.
Yeah.
And I think that's why right now we've seen the good numbers. The numbers drop 2 months in a row. They're pretty significant. Don't forget, we were at 9.1. Now it's about 3.
To that point, Mitch, I wanted to add it right down the lane. One of the big banks, doesn't matter who, maybe a couple of them, said that for the first time they're starting to see some of the lower income folks are starting to get behind on mortgages and car loans, so that they're starting to, all of a sudden, the debt's rising and payments are starting to go in 30, 60, and 90 days. A couple of big banks said, don't wait too long, because the pressure's starting to happen to the middle to lower income person struggling right now. That inflationary, I went to the grocery store, went to the beach this weekend. We picked up a few things, Liz and I think we called Robert right after I heard Liz talking to her son. It was like $280, and we did have a couple bottles of wine. I'm not going to lie.
Well, you got 3 bags of groceries,
but it wasn't that much.
$280.
Liz is like, wait, we unloaded the car.
Got some eggs, bread, and the main staple.
It takes her a lot to be baffled too. She knows how to use your credit card pretty well.
She's
easy now. You don't want her on your bad side.
But yeah, credit card debt is now reaching bad numbers, too high.
Yeah.
We went from, they had about $6 trillion in stimulus money 4 years ago. That money's now gone, and now they don't want to stop spending. They're still, believe it or not, revenge travel.
Right.
But it's going on credit cards.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone
that's the problem.
Is believing this one. Everyone's a little more excited this time. I don't know what is it.
About September?
About September.
Well, there were supposed to be 6 of them.
We heard. I know. Remember,
I think it's getting more
everyone was
real.
kind of like that.
It's getting real. It's
Well, and like the kid who cried wolf almost. Like,
a little bit.
Well, now this one,
we're going to do it.
Yeah.
This one's real, I believe, because also if you saw Delta Airlines, which has been the leader and the most profitable airline, dropped significantly on, I think it was Thursday last week.
Yeah.
I just want to tell you good luck. We're all counting on you.
And on Ed Bastian, who's the chairman, came out and gave his forward-looking statements, and they're starting to have a little extra capacity, which, we've all flown
it's
a lot.
Down, yeah.
Well, the seats are, you couldn't get a seat. You were waiting in line to get a seat, and they're starting to see a little crack there as well. So Delta's stock dropped, I think it was like 6-7%.
You know what I think that is, Mitch? You had all that stimulus money, right? You go back, all this started with COVID, right? So you have COVID hit.
$6 trillion.
Like, what are we going to do? This is going to kill us all. So we throw $6 trillion with a T at it, and we stimulate. So people are getting checks. I remember back, if you had one child, you got a check. And I remember talking to some younger folks that said, I just got, $5,000 in the mail today. Each child got, so you throw $6 trillion at it, and all of a sudden it's overstimulated. Then you get inflation, and now we got to, create. So it's all really went back to coronavirus,
Remember, it was Corona for a while there, and the beer company was like, wait a minute.
Don't pick on us.
Yeah, hey.
Leave us alone. Can you please change that name?
Yeah, bad rep.
Change it to Miller or something. Miller virus.
Miller virus.
Give me something.
All right. Thank you, Janet. Hope that answers your question. Remember, folks, the secret to wealth is not what you earn. It's what you keep. Happy days, everybody.
This podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only and is not intended as personal financial advice. Before making any financial decision, please do your own research and consult a financial advisor as needed. If you have a question for the guys, email podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com.